Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning back into the Mummy Means Business podcast. Today I'm with another guest, and my guest today is Tolu. Hi, Tolu.
Hey Victoria.
Hi. So Tolu is she's the founder of Something Sweeter, which is a luxury candy buffet service, and she's a blogger. She has a new blog where she gives advice on how to achieve financial freedom by earning more and spending less, which can be found on tolufrimpong.com. So yeah, I'm really excited to have Tolu today. I've known her for a few years now, and actually, even when I had this podcast and I started this podcast like last week, I had people coming up to me and asking me that they wanted to hear Tolu's story. People came up to me like, oh, actually, no, I want you to interview Tolu. I want to kind of find out how she came up, how she became so successful in business. So I was really excited when she agreed and she said yes to do it. So thank you, Tolu, for being on this podcast. So before we jump into kind of the whole business aspect, I wanted to ask you, how has motherhood been for you? Tolu has two boys and she's pregnant with her third. And I just wanted to know, did you know that you're going to be the mother that you are now, or did you have an idea of kind of what you wanted to be, and is it completely different to the reality of it?
Oh, completely different. Oh my gosh. No, being a mother has literally been the most amazing yet challenging experience of my life. Like literally. It's had its highs, it's had its lows, but overall it's just been the most rewarding experience ever. Like I wouldn't change it for the world. My boys very boisterous boys. They're like literally very hard work, but it's amazing. Like literally I wouldn't change it for the world.
I
In
know,
terms
like,
of go
sorry,
on.
go on. No, because I was saying that even the other day I saw them like wrestling.
Oh
Like they
yeah, they do it
just
all the time.
they're just
Literally.
constantly, and the thing is, yeah, you're actually really calm because you think, a mum of boys, especially boys who are like very, very active, you see them kind of chasing after them, like, oh, calming them down, like, don't throw this or don't do this, but you're just like, oh yeah, just leave them. You're just very relaxed.
I'm very chilled, yeah. And that's something that surprised me about myself, actually. I didn't realize I would be so laid back as a parent. I know before I had children, I had all these plans as to how I was going to be, how strict I was going to be. And, I would never allow my child to do this and do that. But since I've had them, literally, I've learned so much about being a parent and so much about myself and so much about children, and that they're individuals. They're literally like individual beings, and they have their own personalities, and it's like our job as parents is to nurture them as opposed to try and fit them into a certain mold, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think yeah, that's why with me, I am people might see me and think, oh, she's so chilled. Like you just see Alpha jumping off a chair, for example, and people will be like, oh my gosh, he's gonna hurt himself. But I'm just like, oh no, he'll be fine, and if he bangs his head, he'll get up and he'll recover. He'll be okay, kind of thing.
It's
I think
true.
that has surprised me about myself, actually.
Has it been hard for you to go from like 0 to 1, from rather than going from 1 to 2 and then now from 2 to 3?
Oh, you see, I think with each stage it's been challenging. I think 0 to 1 was definitely the hardest because I went from not being a parent to being a parent. So that was a very big transition for me because obviously there's only so much you can prepare in advance for having a child. So obviously you read all the books, you get all the advice from friends and family, etc. But it's not until you have that little baby for yourself and it's like, oh crap, it's just me and this baby. What do I do? That you kind of figure things out along the way and you realize that it's a lot more difficult and there's a lot more that goes into it than I had anticipated. So yeah, it was a bigger challenge than I thought it would be. Definitely, like it's like, oh, what's the most that babies do? You've got to feed them, got to clothe them, but no, there's a lot more that goes into it. But it's
And
been amazing.
it's good actually because now you're having your third and you have another boy. So now you just have three boys and they can just occupy themselves while you just chill. They can literally just like raise each other. But you're working a full-time job with before obviously you had kids, and when you had your first and your second, you're still working. Did you have to kind of cut back on the amount of work, the amount of time you spent at work, or did you carry on with like your full-time position?
No, that wasn't an option to me, to be honest. No, I couldn't have done it. Literally, as soon as I had my first, or even before I had him, actually, I knew in my mind that I wasn't going to be able to go back to work full time, just because I wanted to still have that time at home with the baby, and I knew that I wouldn't be able to be the best parent I could be working full time and raising a child, because it's just like both of them are full-time jobs in themselves. So it wasn't a possibility for me to work full-time and look after a new baby full-time. Just, yeah, it wouldn't have worked for me at all.
But when you were going to work, did you ever feel really guilty, like leaving them? Even me now, if I leave Xavier with my husband just for 30 minutes to go Sainsbury's, I'm constantly I'm messaging him like, is he okay? Send me a picture. Send me a picture, see he's
Oh, no, no,
okay.
no, that's not me at all. No, I was quite the opposite, actually. Oh my gosh. I was like very happy to go back to work, actually, but because I knew I was going back part time, so I only went back 3 days a week. So I worked Monday to Wednesday. So for me, it was a good balance. It was like, okay, I have that time away for the child to be an adult and do other things, but then I got to come back in the evenings, and I also had the rest of the week to spend time with him. But that's why for me, I couldn't work full time, but then I couldn't be at home full time. So for me, it was a good balance to work part time. So I had that time away from him. I know that might sound bad, but I did need that break. After being at home with him for the first 13 months, he was full on. It was a lot of work, and it was
It's
good to
good to
kind
be
of have that
honest,
balance.
Sometimes
Yeah,
people
no,
like, oh, they're like, oh, I
100.
want to spend all my time with my
No,
children,
no,
but it's
no.
good to be like, you know what? I
I
needed.
wasn't that parent. I can't even lie. No. I love my child to bits, don't get it twisted. But at the same time, it was good to have that break away from him.
So you didn't even obviously, so you didn't feel much guilt when you left, when you kind of went to work, because you're like, he's in good hands, he's fine, and it's kind of
No, I didn't leave him
opportunity
at
to
home
have
by
adult
himself.
conversation. Yeah, obviously.
So
Imagine.
exactly, no, he went to nursery. It was good for him as well. He was able to be around other children his age, so he got to basically play all day at nursery, and I was at work, getting to do my job and interact with other like-minded grown-ups. So for me, no, it was a good balance. I don't think I really suffered with that mum guilt, just because, like I said, I only worked part-time, so it wasn't like I was leaving him all the time. For me, it was like he had that time, and he went to nursery 2 days a week at that time, and he was with his grandma 1 day a week. So for me, it was I felt like he had a good, nice, rounded experience in that he was with mummy, he was with nursery, and he was with grandma. So no, I didn't really feel that mum guilt, to be honest.
So you also I mentioned earlier in the introduction that Tolu has a business. So she has a something sweeter, which is a candy buffet kind of service that you provide. So what kind of made you want to start your own business, and what kind of made you want to go into the whole sweet and candy buffet era? Because you've had this business for a number of years now, and if when you actually started, the whole candy buffet thing wasn't really seen.
Exactly,
So
literally,
you can,
yeah.
yeah. So I remember one of the first experience. Yeah, you really no, it's true. She actually was a pioneer, and now it's like everyone is like, oh, actually, candy buffet that actually adds to my event. So what made you want to kind of do that and start your own business?
Okay, so for me, I when I fell pregnant with my first son, Alpha, I knew that I wasn't going to go back to work full time, like I mentioned earlier. So for me, I knew I'd be working part time, which means my income will be halved. And I knew that I needed basically to supplement that income. So I unfortunately didn't have that luxury at the time for me to just say, I'll just cut my hours and that's it. I knew I needed to make up that difference because at that time we were saving to buy our own property. So for me, I just needed that extra income. So that was pretty much why I started thinking about, okay, if I'm not going back to work full time, what is it that I'm going to actually do to make up that deficit kind of thing. So it was just a case of me brainstorming ideas, things that I was interested in and things that I was good at. So I've always had a creative flair. That's just been me from day. I'm naturally creative. And anyone that knows me knows I've always loved sweets, like literally since the beginning of time, literally tolerant sweets. Probably
Yeah.
not the best idea actually thinking about it because I just eat all the sweets. But at the time, literally, it was just combining something I was very passionate about, something I really enjoyed with something I was good at. And literally, like you said, at the time, it wasn't something that was really happening in the UK, but it was just something that came to my mind. I was just like, oh, I could do this. Like, I could just set up these sweet displays at people's events. And then when I started doing my research, I saw that, oh, okay, in America and Australia, it's actually something that's very big and very popular. So I was thinking if it's big in those markets, it's definitely something that has potential in the UK. And that's kind of how it all started.
Do you know what? It's actually interesting when you said that you kind of combined something that you're passionate about with your with your creative aspect, creative mentality. Because when people start their businesses, or when people want to start a business, sometimes you kind of go so far-fetched into something that you've never done before, and then think, oh, why is it taking so long to get off the ground? But actually trying to just figure out, okay, what am I naturally good at, and seeing how you can flip that and turn it into a business is probably the smartest way to kind of go about it. But yeah, you mentioned how, you had a passion for sweets, you love sweets, and it was kind of easy to get into it. But what was kind of the process in getting it off the ground? Like how did you find the different candies and the sweets? How did you make the little, she makes really lovely cake pops which are so addictive. Once you have one, you have to have like 10. So but what was kind of the brain behind the creativeness? Like, how do you really source all these different things to kind of create different themes for the events?
So the power of the internet, really, everything you need is literally online. So once I had the idea in my head for something sweeter, I was just like, okay, what event can I do just to basically get an example of what's in my head out there so that I can start taking pictures and showcasing what I can actually do. And I remember the first event I ever did was a baby shower for one of my friends. And it was just literally a case of me having a concept in my head and a theme that I wanted to execute for her baby shower. So once I had that idea in my head, I just literally went shopping, and something that probably I wouldn't advise somebody else to do, in that I just literally went out and just bought everything, literally. So I just buying all these different jars, buying all these different decorations, buying all these different props, just buying everything literally to make this perfect display. Until now, there's things that I've bought over the years that I've never actually used, but it's because I just enjoy it so much. I just enjoy like creating displays that I may not necessarily bought the stuff that I actually needed, but I bought a lot of extra stuff.
But what was, there's one question that I've been asked, and even me, I ask myself, is pricing, figuring out, when you have a business, you have a product, you have a service. Okay, how much am I going to sell this for that I can, still make a turnover or make a profit? But what was kind of the formula that you had to put together to find the perfect balance of a price where people actually buy this, is affordable enough for people to buy into, but it also covers your losses?
Exactly. Yes, that I think for me that was a steep learning curve in terms of pricing. So what I did at the beginning was, because I was a startup, excuse me, sorry, and I was new to the game and I was just trying to build my experience and build my portfolio. Pricing wise, I was basically charging people cost price basically. So I wasn't charging for my time, and like you don't realize how much time actually goes into planning and creating these concepts. So before, I used to shy away from including my time in the pricing. So I'd basically make sure I cost up the event, so how much everything's going to cost me, sweets, jars, etc. And then I'd add a bit on top, but that bit on top was nowhere near what it should have been, given the amount of time that actually goes into doing the event. Like if you actually calculated my hourly rate at the time, it was just like I was literally getting paid like £2 an hour or something silly like that kind of thing. So I think for me, it's basically ensuring that the time aspect of it is included into pricing. So that's something that I've built into my pricing model moving forward. So what that meant for me is that I was doing a lot. At the beginning, I was doing a lot more events, but not making as much money. Whereas now I've cut back in the amount of events that I actually take on. And I do a lot less events, but make a lot more. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's actually good to hear, because even me with some of the projects that I'm working on, it's so hard to figure out, how much I should charge different people, because my service, my what I do, I help small businesses with PR exposure, so PR and social media exposure. And sometimes, one person might just want something little, which might not take much of my time, but it still gives them the result that they desire. And another client might want, a lot more work for the same desired result. So sometimes you have to, it's interesting what you say. You really have to actually value your time almost, and put a price to your time, and add that. Don't be shy to add that to the overall cost, because
you're adding a value at the end of the day.
Yeah,
so you're paying them. They're paying for something that they can't do. If they could do it themselves, they would do it themselves. So the fact that they're seeking your services, you need to be compensated for that accordingly. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
So, over the last few years of you kind of working on your business, has there been a time when you've made any mistakes that you've kind of learnt from over the over a period of time that you know, okay, I'm not going to make this the same mistake the next time?
Oh, 100%. So I think I touched on it earlier, actually, in terms of overspending. I think that was a big mistake I made at the beginning. So literally buying a lot of stuff that I didn't really necessarily need at the beginning and not keeping a tighter grip on costings. I think that was a big mistake I made at the beginning. I also think as well, I kind of ran before I crawled. Is that the same? Run before you walk?
Yeah.
And yeah, literally, that's what I did. So kind of just once I had the concept, I ran with it rather than maybe planning as much as I should have. So I'd say definitely having a clear business plan at the beginning would have helped me, I think, avoid certain mistakes that I made along the way. So I think
Yeah.
if I was to give advice to anybody, it would be planning before you start.
That's actually what in my previous podcast that I did with an events designer. That's exactly what she mentioned. She was like, you really have to put a good business plan together, and then once you put a business plan together, you can really analyze and see, okay, like, okay, where can I start? Because even me, I don't have a business plan, which is so bad to say, but I've just been really lazy to put it together. Like I've just been like, oh, it's fine. I have this to do. I have this to do, but I think this year is the year for me to do that. And this podcast, you know, speaking to you and different mums has really been helping me and giving me those kind of key tips to help take it to the next level. So
No, it is
thank you.
time consuming doing, but it's definitely worthwhile. It'll save you a lot in the long run, time and money.
And then now you have another venture that you're doing, busy bee. You have tolufrimpong.com, which is a blog that you've created to kind of help people be financially free. So what was kind of the concept behind that? Like what was the inspiration originally for you to start this? Because this is completely different to your Something Sweeter brand.
Yeah, it is different to something sweeter, but it all kind of ties in. I think I've been on this financial freedom journey basically since I started something sweeter. So I'd say since 2014 till now, and I'm still on this journey. I'm not yet financially free, but I will be within the next few years by God's grace. But for me, it was literally I started this blog. Maybe I say selfishly for myself because it's more of a opportunity for me to basically be accountable to the readers. So it's like I set myself certain goals and I set myself certain objectives. And by me putting it out there, it's like, okay, you put it out there now. What are you going to do, kind of thing. So it kind of keeps me focused on pursuing and focusing and going after these goals that I've set myself. So it's just me kind of documenting my journey to financial freedom because I know as much as I'm not where I want to be, I know that I've still come a long way over the past few years and I've learned a lot. And I know there's other people that can learn from my experiences and can learn along with me. So that's kind of why, yeah, that was kind of the reason why I started the blog. It was kind of to start a little community of other like-minded women, kind of share and learn from each other's experiences and just things that I'm learning along the way. It's just me sharing with the world for whoever basically wants to read and get information from.
Do you know, if anyone's listening to this podcast and, you know, they have a business or they struggle financially in general, or like to manage their finances, make sure you check this out because one of the things that actually stood out to me that I think it was one of your first blogs of having multiple streams of income.
Exactly.
And I was like, you know, that's something that I'm like, okay, it's so easy to say. So easy to say, but it's hard to do. But it's so important. And I was actually watching one of Patricia Bright, so the
Oh my
vlogger.
gosh, yeah.
So I was watching one of her videos that she put up, I think recently, about how she paid off her mortgage. That was £310,000 for her mortgage, and now her house is worth 600,000. And she was speaking on how she paid it off within 6 years. And the same thing that she said is that she had multiple streams of income. The same thing. She was obviously she's on a different caliber because she's Patricia Bright. She has 1 million followers or whatever. But when she did have this mortgage, she had it years ago when she was still
Starting up.
yeah, when she was still starting up, and she said that she literally had her job, then plus her full-time job, she had like a hustle that she was doing on the side, then she had a hair company, then she had this affiliated marketing links that she was doing, and she literally had 6 streams of income coming in.
Exactly.
And that's how she was able to kind of obviously hard work, and it's not easy, but that's key, not just relying on one income to kind of sustain you,
Yeah, literally,
because
if you lose your job tomorrow, then that's it.
what's going to happen
What's
exactly?
gonna happen? No plan B.
And it's good to you're in a position now with like your baby number three to be like, you know what, I want to stay at home with my children and really be there for them, and then I still have these three streams of income coming in, because I'm like, oh, I'm fine, and I don't have to lack, or I don't have to pull the family back. We're still moving forward.
You've got it. That's exactly it. Exactly. So for me, this blog, as much as it's going to help other people and all the rest of it, it is also going to be a source of income. And then, like you said, things like the affiliate marketing and the digital products, which I'll be creating later on in this year. So yeah, for me, it's all about creating multiple streams of income because yeah, that's literally it. That's what we're trying to do. So no, it's good.
But how do you manage your time? Because obviously you have your two sons, two handsome sons. You have your husband. You have these businesses, this blog that you're writing. You produce like two blogs a week, so you need the time to write it. Like, how do you have time to even like do your nails or get your hair done, or
Oh, I
spend
don't.
time with your
Have you seen
friends?
my hair? That's like bottom of my to-do list. Bro. No, no. It's having a to-do list basically, and it's prioritizing my day. So every given day in the morning, I have a list of things that I need to get done for the day. I have a major list, so it's about 10 items, which I know I'm not going to get through all of them, but I have three main priorities for every day. So long as I get through those three main priorities each day, then I'm good to go. So it's just about literally managing my time as much. I'm not 100% there. I know I can still probably do more to maximize my time in a day, but I feel like yeah, having a structure, planning my day, knowing what I'm trying to get done that day helps me, and just knowing that I can't do it all in a day. Because the times when I never used to plan my days and just say I'm going to do this, like just in my head have all these things that I want to achieve, nothing gets done because it's overwhelming. Whereas if you break it down into like just bite-sized pieces, recognizing that I'm only one person, there's only so much I can do, it makes it more achievable. And that's kind of how I've been doing it since I started this year, and since the end of last year and this year started. And I found that looking back over January, it's literally been the most productive month I've had in a very long time. And it's because I've been using that approach.
And how about like time with your friends, or just having like a social life as like as a woman, and you still have your friends. Do you find that lacks? Do you feel like you might not spend time with your friends as much as you like to, or do you still, like you said, add that to your kind of routine and make sure you have to plan those days?
It is literally like that, as much as it seems a bit tedious. Literally, at the start, towards the end of last year, I set myself a goal spreadsheet for 2019, and in that goal spreadsheet, I literally break it down into seven categories. I did a blog post on it actually, and it was talking about setting goals against Zig Ziglar's rules of life, and he literally breaks down life into seven areas. So you've got family, finances, spiritual, career, etc. So there's literally seven categories which make up our lives. So it's a case of having goals set for every category. Because if you don't have goals set against those categories, that's how you end up lacking in certain areas. So, for example, if you have fitness goals and it's like, I'm going to go gym 4 times a week, how realistic is that? If I'm going gym 4 times a week, when am I having time with my family? When am I having time to work on my business? See what I mean? So it's a case of having goals set against all those areas and just working bit by bit on each goal. And that's kind of the way I've been balancing it out. Not to say I've been able to hit every single goal, but having it kind of clearly mapped out what I'm trying to achieve, I'm able to see what I have been able to do. And then when I haven't been able to meet those targets, I can see what I can do for the next month to kind of hit those targets, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm still only one person, and there's only so much time I can give to everything. So I do try my best to be well rounded and kind of fit everything in. But realistically, I don't have as much free time as I used to have to spend with my friends. Whereas before, maybe we was out 4 times a week, 4 times a month, or 6 times a month. Now it might be once a month, but it's more planned and it's more strategic, if that makes sense. So it's like I can't have 100 friends that I'm trying to entertain. That's not realistic. It's just like spending time with my closest, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and you know what? It's not even just you as well. Friends are doing businesses, and friends are evolving, and friends are moving on to bigger and better things. So they have less time. So sometimes you really have to plan it. Like, there's not. I don't think my friendship group or the people that I know, there's one person who just like does nothing, or
It's
who
just
has like,
available all the time.
yeah, who's like available all the time and is like, oh, like, and is spontaneous. Like, we're not spontaneous anymore. We can't just be like, oh yeah, let's just go here. Everyone's like, okay, when are you free?
Exactly.
Literally. So yeah, I completely get that. And when you first started, you're something sweeter, or even like the tolufrimpong.com blog, did you need any financial backing? Did you need, some capital to kind of help get off the ground, or did you just have to just wait until your first client and use that money that you earned to reinvest into your business?
Now I have to give a shout out to my husband for that. Actually, he was literally the bank that funded my venture.
Bank of husband.
Yeah, literally, the Bank of Isaac. Literally, he was the one that funded it all at the beginning. But bless him, he was supportive and he saw my vision and my passion, and he literally backed me. But yeah, and I didn't have to seek any external finances. Thank God for that.
Oh, that's good. Wow. But so you need the bank of, husband, guys, I know.
Or
It's true.
savings. If you have your own savings and stuff, then you could do that. Because when I say Bank of Hubby, I didn't know we were one, in it, isn't
Yeah.
it? But it's just the fact that he was a lot. He gave me that option to be able to tap into our finances to be able to support a business venture.
Was it, quite easy for him to just support, or did you have to, do a presentation or persuade him, or, tell him the benefit of these businesses?
No, to be honest, it was a conversation, literally. It was just me telling him what I wanted to do and explaining it to him. At first, he didn't get it because obviously back then there was no such thing as a candy buffet. So he's just like, "What's that?" So once he saw me, he saw what I was doing, and he saw the first event I did. It's just like, oh, okay, this is actually a concept. This can work. So he was more than willing to support from there.
And he even like helps you to set up on the
Yes,
day.
literally, he is amazing. I can't even lie. Yeah, I remember when I had Asher. I think it was Asher. I think he was probably like a week old or something like that. So I had an event to do, which I obviously couldn't go and do because I just given birth. And he literally went and did it by himself. Set it up with a friend of mine, and they did the whole thing without me there. It's like, oh bless him. He's seen me do it so many times that he was okay to just get on with it.
Yeah, to figure it out, which is good. It's like we said earlier in other podcasts as well. Like, it's important to have some support, whether it's, your friends or your family, or just someone to kind of help and support you and keep you motivated, because it's so hard to kind of drop off. And I think it was you that said this to me, that consistency is key, that sometimes you kind of just have to wait out for everyone else to drop off, and then to have just you being the last one standing,
Exactly.
rather than you drop off and then think, oh, what if I carried
Carry on.
on?
Exactly. 100%. No, I totally agree. And that's definitely it. Consistency is so important. And it's like, yeah, just remaining persistent and consistent, regardless of what other people around you are doing, not focusing on what they're doing. Focus on your goal where you're trying to get to, and you'll literally get there.
So now you're having baby number three. You're excited?
Oh, pray for
Nervous?
me. Yeah.
How you feel? Like, has this pregnancy been better than the third? You think? Do you know what? You actually look. I feel like you look a lot more. I don't know, more comfortable, like confident with
I know
this.
everyone says that, but I'm like, no, if only you knew what I was going through.
You
It's,
don't
yeah.
show it.
Maybe I'm just better at masking it, but it's been challenging, definitely. Like this pregnancy has been in terms of symptoms and things, it's been pretty much similar to the other two. But in terms of like just physically, I felt so drained this pregnancy, like literally no energy, no motivation. Literally, even to paint my face is just the effort. Everything is just work. But I don't even know. It's God's grace that's kept me going this far. And hopefully, God willing, baby will be here in a few months and then life can continue. And yeah,
Yeah. So have you got any plans to kind of, where you want to take your business? So your business is actually to after you have baby number three. Like, are you gonna carry on working part time, or are you gonna try to focus on it completely? Like, where do you think you want to take it after you have three kids?
and now I'm done with the 9 to 5 life. Literally, like this is once I go off this time on maternity leave, I'm no longer returning to work. It's just going to be me at home and my boys and my businesses, which is why I'm really focus this year on really pushing them and driving them forward, because I know I'm no longer going to have that safety blanket to fall back on. That part-time salary will no longer be coming in after the maternity pay finishes. So I literally have between now and less than a year, I'd say, basically, to really replace my work, my full-time income, my part-time, sorry, income, and then some kind of thing. So for me, it's just really focusing hard on pushing the businesses. And I've got a few other things in the pipeline, which I don't want to say too much on just now, but literally 2019, I've
Is
got
the
big
year.
plans. Yeah, literally. And I've been saying this every year for the past few years, but it's like it's a journey. And I
Yeah.
feel like, yeah, this year is going to be a very good year.
And you know what? People say that after you have your second one, it gets easier in terms of like you don't you're already used to kind of looking around, yeah. So it'll get easier. So I think it's good, man. Do you know what? It's also good to have something to aspire towards. Now that you know you don't have this safety blanket, it's gonna kind of fuel the fire to make you work even harder because you're like, especially because you're doing this business, you want to kind of earn almost the same salary or even more
Exactly, more. Yeah.
that you were earning. So it's gonna fuel the fire. So look out, world. Tolu Frimpong is coming to take over.
Take it over.
Something sweeter. Get on the bandwagon now before she like makes it and then she forgets about us.
Oh, God forbid, no way. We're all growing together. So
Yes, definitely. But yeah, it's been really good to have you on this podcast. It's been really eye-opening, inspiring to see a mum, and you're doing you have these businesses that you're working on, and you're doing it confidently, and you know that you can with all these kids. Like it's not like you're juggling anything. You're just managing your time, and you're giving as much effort into your children as you are to your business. But if you had to give an advice to somebody on, the key steps that they will need to take in order to kind of be in the same position as you, what would kind of be the advice that you would give them?
Oh, it's a good question. I'd say advice-wise, I'd say planning your time is very important. I'd say having clear steps that you're trying to take is important. And I'd say staying consistent and focused regardless of whatever obstacles or anything that's happening around you, because I feel like it's very easy to get distracted or to feel deflated, or when things are not going your way or things are not moving at the rate you want it to go or in the direction you want it to go. It's kind of easy to lose focus, and I feel like that's why a lot of small businesses tend to fail, is because people don't see the results straight away from their efforts, so they just think, oh, this is long, I'm just gonna go back to finding another job or something. Whereas if you remain consistent and focused and believe in what you're trying to achieve, you can achieve it and you will get there. It's just a case of not dropping off and not giving up and not quitting. And I'd say as well, what I'd advise someone following in my footsteps to do is seek help and use the people around you, because you'd be surprised how many people around you are in the same position as you or are a little bit further ahead in the direction that you're trying to get to. So rather than trying to figure it all out by yourself, why not reach out to them, ask them questions, learn from those that know a bit more? It will help you get there a lot quicker rather than just trying to figure it all out for yourself. I say that now because that's something I wish I had done when I first started out, was literally trying to find out from other people that are more successful, how they've achieved their success and what steps they've taken so that I can avoid them. I just kind of did it all by myself and was just trying to figure it out as I went along. But I think reaching out to people, finding out from people the best steps to follow, I think also building your team as soon as you can, I think is very important as well. So not trying to do it all by yourself. Again, that's something that I did, which moving forward, I won't be doing. And if I could go back, I wouldn't have done. It would be trying to build a team sooner rather than later, so that the whole business basically isn't solely dependent and reliant on you.
That is actually very, very, very important. And I've learned the hard way how important that is.
We all have,
Because
yeah.
it's hard to build a team when you're not making that much money. So how do you build? I know we've almost finished, but it's interesting. How do you build a team when you're not earning much?
I think it's getting people to believe in your vision. So it's like if you can sell someone your vision and they can see where you're going, they'll want to jump on board even before you've got there. So like even with something sweeter now, I have a team. Even though we're not making millions, we're not turning over a big amount, I have a team that are working with me now to build it so that we can get to that stage. And it's because they can see the vision, they can see where something sweeter is going, and they can see the potential in it. So I think it's just getting people to basically believe in where you're trying to go and them realizing that by working together you can get there quicker. Because if you've got somebody that's kind of trying to get to where you're getting but maybe bring something different to the table, you coming together, you're only going to be stronger and you're only going to be able to get there quicker.
I think that's probably the most important message out of this whole podcast. So make sure you actually take that in, because me myself, I'm learning the hard way that, sometimes there's things that you're not an expert in everything.
Exactly.
Like and you can't be there's no point in being the jack of all trades but a master of none. So it's good to kind of focus on what you're an expert at, and then bring someone on board who's great at that specific thing that you need, and that will only keep pushing your business forward. And also, there's only so much you can handle with two hands, and so you can't really, you limit how far your business can go just doing it by yourself. The more hands on board, the more work you can take.
It makes light work. Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. So I'm saying this, but I actually need to do it. It's so easy to say it, but it's like,
yeah, exactly. It's
so hard to apply.
It's another thing applying it, but it's definitely crucial, and it will just catapult your business like a lot quicker and a lot better.
100%. Thank you, Tolu. You've been absolutely amazing. It's been fun, isn't it? It's easy. It's not that bad. Yeah. So thank you so much, Tolu. Feel free to check out her blog. It's tolufrimpong.com. So TOLUFRIMPONG, correct?
Yeah.
Yes. .com. She releases a blog every Thursdays and Sundays.
Twice a week. Yeah.
Twice a week. And her blogs are really, really interesting. And it's not just for people who have businesses. It's literally just for anybody. Finance is something that everybody struggles with at some point. So make sure you check out her blog. You can also find her on Instagram. Same thing, Tolu Frimpong. Just search her on Instagram, you find her. And yeah, look forward to next week's episode. Make sure you tune in. The podcast is available on Podbean, on SoundCloud, Spotify, and what was the other one? Oh, Apple Podcasts. So yeah, thank you so much, Tolu. Really appreciate everything.
Thanks, Victoria, for having me on.
Of course.